welcome back to the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast. On today's very special episode, I have Breann Lundblad, Business Solutions Associate with Action Coach. Breann, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Yes, I'm so happy that we finally got coordinated to get you onto the show. I feel like this was months in the process. A little bit on my end on that one, so I'm sorry about that.
But, no, it's okay. We're all busy.
Yeah, happy to finally have you on here, though. So I'd love to get going into this. So for the listeners at home and maybe don't know too much about Action Coach, we'll get into that in just a second, but I'd love to know how you got tied in with Action Coach, and then we'll get into what it is and what it can do for people.
Yes. So I have been a coach my entire life. And the last 3 years was working with the Sarpy Chamber and met the owners of Action Coach, or XL Edge is the company. And they're an Action Coach company.
Gotcha.
Based out of Sioux City. And so they were looking to expand into the Omaha market, met them through the Sarpy Chamber, and through the chamber side, trying to help them kind of make their connections, right? In July, I decided it was time to kind of go out on my own and do the coaching thing that I've been doing for so many years under somebody else's title, but now trying to do it for myself, and happened to run into them again in a coffee shop, and they were like, hey, we need a coach in Omaha. And I was like, hey, I'm a coach in Omaha. So that's kind of how we ended up together, but I'm enjoying it so much, and it's so fun to be able to help business owners reach their dreams and achieve that reality.
Yeah, I love it. And we're going to dive right into it. So what is Action Coach? You already started to allude to it here, and what can it do for its listeners and clients?
Yeah, so Action Coach is the model that we use to ensure growth for our business owners. It's a system of coaching that really kind of breaks everything down to the basis of understanding your destination, where you want to be, what it takes to kind of get there, and then moving up the steps until you've created a commercial profitable enterprise that can function without you, right? Because nobody buys a business or starts a business to buy themselves a job.
Forever.
Right? Nobody wants to buy themselves a job. They want to buy themselves freedom. And whether that's time freedom, financial freedom, all of those things. And so we use Action Coach as kind of that system to help build all the way up to achieving that goal or that dream.
I love that. So for the listeners at home, and the clients already know this through the work with you, what is the mission that Action Coach stands for?
Yeah, so the mission of Action Coach is to create world abundance through business education and re-education.
Okay.
And so essentially that means that we provide, like I said earlier, that those stepping stones so that your business can be successful, so that you can live the dream, create the world that you set out to do, and not be constantly working in the business or riding that teeter-totter that many business owners start on.
Right.
So.
I think the perfect analogy here for those of you at home that might just be wondering, well, I think it can maybe help me. Think of it this way. You're going into the jungle. Action Coach is the machete. Help you clear the path.
Yes.
So you can find the right solution, the right pathway to successfully get through and get your business underway. I love what it stands for, and love Action Coach itself. So I love some of the questions I was able to come up with as well, because your website is really inviting to people, but it's also like there's a lot on there. So I kind of picked and choose some of the things to maybe bring attention. So when listeners are curious, they can always reach out to you or check out the website firsthand. One of those things, 1-to-1 coaching. Now, not a 1-to-1 meeting, but a 1-2-1 coaching. I was going to have you go into a little detail about that process of things and how you go through and meticulously craft each of these coaching experiences and kind of what plays into that process.
Yeah. So 1-to-1 coaching, that's our flagship program. For many of our clients, it's been described as kind of earning an MBA in business entrepreneurship or business ownership, right? Except for we're using their business as the case study, as the curriculum, right?
So it's real life experience.
Exactly. Hey. Yes. And we take all of what they're trying to accomplish, turn it into a template to get them to success, right? And so essentially, once you've gone through the 1-to-1 coaching program, you can take that and apply it to almost any business. So leading into, you had asked about how we kind of create those sessions. it's been said by many coaches, specifically Coach Carter, who I spend a lot of time with, that every business is special but not unique.
That's actually a very interesting little phrase there. I like that.
So although the business that you're trying to create is very special to you, often the challenges and the struggles that you run into aren't unique. Mm-hmm. However, that being said, what we're doing in one-to-one coaching is not, there are stepping stones, but the pieces, the very meticulous pieces within that are special to your business, right? So there are some standard things. Most business owners are going to spend some time in that one-to-one coaching, focusing on destination mastery, time mastery, looking at their finances and how to master those, how to read those things, building those systems, and then building their team. Even though those steps are basic, the little pieces within there differ from business to business.
Right.
So that one-to-one coaching, it is our flagship program. It is that MBA in business, but using, like you said, real life, using your business as the case study.
Which I imagine can just really help translate the message that you guys are getting across for people, especially when you're using something they already can relate to and already understand. So I love that that's the intentionality behind the process that you guys start with on the flagship program then for the one-to-ones. I was also going to make a little joke at Coach Carter's expense here that he wasn't able to join us today, and I won't take any offense to that, but I was definitely going to ask him how it felt to have a movie named after him. Just to give him a little bit of a hard time.
Yeah. He is or was actually a basketball coach also.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, yes.
I love that so much. And I was a big basketball player and fan, so do love that. Now, from business coaching to coaching for a cause, I'd love for if you could dive in and tell us a little bit about the different programs that are offered at Action Coach.
Yeah, so Coaching for a Cause is our way of giving back to the community. Coaching for a Cause is essentially one-to-one coaching, or potentially could be group coaching, but it's meant for businesses that maybe don't have the funds. Quite often, this is our nonprofits that need that guidance and deserve to grow just as much as a for-profit business, but need the scholarships or the help to get there. And so working very much same as that one-to-one coaching, but just maybe a little bit of financial support from us.
Fair enough. A little more into it on that one. Okay, I love that. Now, one of the questions you definitely probably get asked the most is, why would I need a business coach? I mean, I know everything. So for our listeners, I'd love for you to elaborate on how a business coach can really improve the business from a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah, so you're right. That is probably the most popular question. Typically, it's phrased as, why would I need a business coach? I've been in business for 20 years.
Right. And
I already know everything.
My sleight of hand of, I know everything.
Yeah. Usually my response to that is, you have been in business for 1 year. You've just repeated it for the following 19 years. And so I think what people mistakenly, the position that most people have is coaching is meant for the business that is struggling, for the brand new entrepreneur that knows nothing and just decides that they want to.
All the green business,
Yeah, which not that those individuals can't benefit from coaching. They absolutely could. But typically what we find is the high-performing businesses or the high-performing owner is usually who benefits the most from business coaching.
Interesting.
It's the person who already is an expert in their thing, right? You think about like a doctor. They're an expert in whatever their medical practice is. They're an expert in that field. They can help anybody with that particular illness. But it's the behind the scenes, the business admin, the sales, the marketing, the keeping the books, those pieces that they're not an expert in, right? So you have a plumber as an expert in fixing pipes. You have a bookkeeper who's expert in books. But neither one of them are an expert in time management and destination mastery, or what either the person does, right? And so the coaching is that opportunity, like you said, to kind of highlight areas of the business where you could improve, and that improvement could then generate more profit, so that you can go out and do the thing you want to do, the reason why you actually started the business.
Right.
So
yeah, and you've mentioned it a couple of times, so I'd like to ask, what is destination mapping and mastery there?
Yeah, so for us, destination mastery, it is a tongue twister. Mm-hmm. For us, that is kind of the start, right?
Okay.
That is really, why did you start the business?
Gotcha.
What do you want? A lot of times you sit down with people and it's not, the business that they started was because that was the thing they knew how to do, right?
Sure.
But that wasn't really the why behind it. Most of the time, the why is they wanted to leave some sort of impact on the community. There's a bigger dream. They wanted to provide something for their family that they weren't seeing in the corporate world, mm-hmm. right? And so for us, that's the base, is really understanding that piece. And then what does it take to get there, to do that thing? Is there a certain financial level that you need to reach? Is there a certain thing you need to have in place? People or partnerships that you need to have to get you there, and then making sure that we're building those things in all throughout the process so you don't lose focus. It's really easy when you start a business. You have that big goal, that dream in mind, and then as you go, you get lost in the minutia and the day-to-day stuff. And so for us, destination mastery is really understanding, what is the end goal? What does the business look like when you're done with it?
Yeah.
And why? And how do we get there?
You got to leave what you want to leave behind and not just be tied to it forever. Yep. So, no, I love that. And I just want a little clarity for the listeners at home, just in case they were having a little trouble going, well, what? I want to know more about what's is she manifesting destiny out here?
Yes,
exactly.
Manifesting abundance.
Exactly. But, a fantastic follow-up that I think is fair, that a lot of listeners might be coming to on their own, or maybe at times you might be running into some of this, either getting to know a business or learning about that business, starting the process of working with somebody. And that's them coming back to you and asking, how they can feel reassured for the investment that comes with business coaching.
Yeah, you're right. That is a question that is often asked. And typically I start with, first, your business can only grow as much as you grow.
That's a great perspective.
So coaching is an investment in yourself, right? It's an investment in growing yourself personally and professionally. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, allows the business to continue to grow. But we also offer a guarantee. So when we sit down with a business for the first time, not only are we're assuming you're assessing us or figuring out whether you even like us, right? But we're also assessing you and making sure that, for us, the baseline is we need to know that we can improve your profits by 100% in the first year. If we feel confident in that, then coaching is most likely a good fit for you. If we don't feel confident in that, we may suggest that you start with maybe some books or some podcasts.
Sure.
We offer some 12-week courses as well that somebody could step into, because maybe coaching isn't the right fit right there.
Sure.
Our guarantee is a 60% increase in profit and in the first year. And if we don't hit that, we continue coaching you for free until you do hit that.
Wow.
But our average is about 113% increase in profits.
Phenomenal.
In the first year. Yeah.
So I need my applause button, but I don't have one yet. I keep telling you, we're like 60 some odd episodes, 70 episodes in. I still need an applause button. Come on, people. What are you waiting for? I'm waiting for somebody.
I could have brought my kid's little keyboard that has all the different noises.
Yes, and just program it with applause and laughter. That's exactly what I need. But no, I do love that at the core of everything when it comes to Action Coach, you are kind of an open book. And it's not, hey, we're going to shoehorn you into our coaching plan because it's what we want. It is very much inviting, but hey, if we're not the right fit right now, let's maybe divert and maybe talk about this option. Mm-hmm. So I do love that there's a big transparency there. And I think that's really important in today's business culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Coaching's not for everybody in every moment, right? Yeah. It has to be a win-win for both parties.
For the person coming to you for the coaching, they have to be ready to receive the coaching. That's a big step in that process.
Absolutely. One of the questions in there was something about what's the best and the worst part of coaching, right?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is the worst part of coaching is when you want the coaching, when you want the destination destination, the end result, the success more than the client does. When they aren't willing to put in the work or they don't see themselves worthy of receiving.
Oh, interesting.
So you're right. Coaching is the person on the other side of the table has to be ready to enter that relationship because it's work on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'd kind of alluded to that with Aaron Frederick with Starting Strength Fitness. He's a friend of the show, and him and his wife were on here for the last program. And we had kind of talked about that a lot, that was kind of their biggest challenge is people getting in their own way. And just telling themselves, oh, well, I can't do this. Or, oh, well, I'm not good enough to, or I just don't want to. Or they find any excuse under the sun to get in their own way. And that was just a big challenge as far as his job is coaching and strength training and leading that way, as you can correlate. It's just a big obstacle, it feels like, when you have to deal with one-to-one connections.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, your business is so much of a passion for you, right? I mean, again, nobody starts a business as a joke or just because, right? There's a passion there, and it's hard to let somebody else into that passion and then to listen to somebody else tell you that, hey, maybe you should try this thing or maybe you should do that thing, right? When you feel it's so personal. But as we've said before, coaching it's an investment in growth, right? It's an investment in growing yourself and increasing your profits.
Absolutely. Now, lots of businesses out there. We've kind of touched on that your business may be out there. It might not necessarily be unique, but is it kind of unique for each business in the planning process for coaching strategies? Or is there kind of a catch-all method that can kind of work and you can pick and choose to kind of help tailor it, but there's still that general core?
For us, there is, I think I've mentioned it before, Action Coach is the system so it is, and our goal is to teach you to systemize the thing that you do really well, that you make money off of. And so we do approach it a little bit from a systematic standpoint, right? However, for instance, let's go, marketing might be one of the things that in a coaching relationship, we might say, hey, we got to put some focus on this. We got to talk about what you're doing for marketing, what you're spending, that sort of thing. But we all know there's well over 100 and whatever ways to market a business, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so the basics, we may focus on finances, we may focus on time and team and systems and marketing. We may focus on those things, but the little steps underneath are generally driven by the business owner. It's what they're ready to do. It's what's going to work for their business, what they're ready to put the work into and focus on. And so, there's a little bit of a systemization, a little bit of a core process to it. But the minutia, the very granular steps are still very independent or unique to each business. So.
I love that. And I just kind of wanted to have a little clarity for the listeners at home, thinking that, this is the magic snake oil that we're all selling. It's nothing like that. There is a process. There's a unique plan to it, but it can be tailored and can be flexible, so to speak.
Yeah.
So just wanted to clarify that out there for the listeners. Now, of course, you and I know each other from different events, networking, Sarpy Chamber events back in the day when you were there, and just a whole bunch of other networking opportunities that you and I always run into each other at, which is a great thing. I get to see you. You get to tell me, hey, why am I coming on the podcast? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot to send that email. But I do want to know if there are any specific for Action Coach or yourself that are coming up event-wise or things that you're a part of that you'd like to share with the listeners.
Yeah, so I continue to network heavily. I'm on the board for the Millard Business Association, so you can always go to their website and look up their events that they have coming up. I'm also on the board for Omaha Business Owners, which is a new networking group getting started. We meet every Wednesday morning, 9:30 to 11 at the Players Club, so any business owner is welcome to come to that. But a couple of really fun things that we have going specific to us, we've started doing Coaches Corners. And so these are free opportunities for a business owner that maybe hears this podcast or has met other coaches and is thinking, what can coaching actually do for me?
Right.
What does this really look like? You can come to a Coach's Corner. It's an hour and a half of your time. Usually we either have, if it's a breakfast, we have free breakfast, or lunch, it's a free lunch. We will spend a little bit of time going over a specific topic, but then we open the floor to your burning question. What is it that you want to ask a coach?
Right.
What's the thing that you're stuck on right now that you want to bring up? So our next Coaches Corner will be January 16th. Check out our website to see the specifics on that. I'm still nailing it down. I believe it'll be a 3:30 to 5 p.m. event, but still working on confirmation for a location for that. We try to move it around town to make it a little bit convenient for everybody. Sure. And then we are also kind of a side passion for us, business education, as you might have guessed.
Oh, you couldn't have guessed that.
Right? Shocker. But we've noticed, or I've noticed, I guess, and maybe you've seen this too, over the years of networking, that business education is usually behind, you have to be a member, or you have to pay to play.
Paywalls. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. It's a pay to play type of thing, which is understandable, but also we recognize that there are many businesses out there, or many individuals that are thinking about going into business that might not have the funds necessarily to always pay to play to do that education. And so we have started, along with a couple other businesses here in town, Omaha Business Summit. Okay. And so the goal with Omaha Business Summit, or OBS, as we've termed it, is to offer quarterly business education summits. They're usually 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon, usually panel of presenters. We'll cover a few topics. We try to bring experts from the community in the room so that you can kind of hear from them what their perspective is. But we want to offer it for free to everybody that comes so that they have a chance to kind of glean some education, or at least meet other experts in that area. So if they're struggling with something, they know who to turn to, right? Yeah. So our next business summit will be January 30th at Nebraska Brewing. Again, 3:30 to 5:30 for that. It is free. Registration isn't open yet, but should be soon. Again, you can find it on our website, or you can, I guess, connect with me. I'm sure Dylan will find.
Oh, of course. You'll have the link to the website in the description of this podcast, of course. And you can always catch Breann and I at different networking events. Yes. You can find direct info, especially on the MBA as well, to reach out to you if you have some more questions on that. So awesome. Some awesome events coming up here right to start the year as well. Now, getting a little bit back into Action Coach, I was very curious. I love asking this question because my answers are always different. And so my question to you now is one of my favorite questions to ask. What's something about your job or about Action Coach specifically that you feel might go unnoticed, or perhaps it's kind of that behind the scenes work that never gets the glory it should?
My answer probably isn't as secretive as you may guess just with knowing me. But I think one of the things that people don't realize with coaching is that the person you're coaching with, that coach, has a vast, vast network. Our network, our ecosystem is probably the one thing that most people don't realize they're getting along with coaching. If you have an issue, I know a guy. Yeah. Right. We have hundreds of clients that we're coaching that have a bunch of different businesses, but we are also networking as well. So we have several hundred people in our ecosystem that we can help refer you to or connect you with for whatever it might be that you need. So
yeah, it's funny. I tell my clients similar things on the insurance side. It's like, if you need a guy, I got a guy. Yeah, whatever you need, I know somebody. I promise you.
I'm pretty sure that's a new Post Malone song, isn't it? I got a guy for this.
I'm sure
I got a guy for that.
I got a guy.
Yes. Yeah.
I do love that. And I do love that throughout all this networking, and a lot of people, they kind of look at networking as the icing or the sprinkles on top. It's the fluff. It's the extra when you can kind of thing. There's so much additive when you can, though. So it is important part of, small business, local business, even if it's just, hey, checking out a ribbon cutting or checking out a free event to go grab some coffee in the morning and just go make a couple new connections, shake a couple hands. There's a huge, huge power in that.
Well, if nothing, in the Midwest, we do business with people we know, like, and trust, right?
Pretty much. So we're a handshake state.
Yeah. If nothing, at least go shake some hands.
Exactly.
To help your business grow.
Yes. So. And that's the thing is, I use this podcast as a point in case of, I, not being from Omaha originally, coming from a very small town, Sandhills, nowhere, I would never have known or heard about or gotten to hear even a glimpse of half of the businesses that have been on the show. So I've gotten the chance to meet and talk to some amazing people and businesses just from the networking opportunities that are here. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of give that little shout out to, there's a lot of power in networking, and coaching I feel like that's some part of it as well, that, hey, you know, if that's part of the business you need to grow is, hey, you need to get your name out there more. How powerful networking can truly actually be.
And just a little shameless plug.
Shameless plug away.
We will be launching, fingers crossed, in February, a 12-week mastery or network mastery class that I am working on kind of creating and putting together just from my experience of networking. I've been networking in the Omaha Metro since 2014. So I've seen all different types and been part of all different types of groups, and there is absolutely some benefit from doing it. So if you're new to networking and you're not sure what to do, watch for that course to drop hopefully in February. It's a great opportunity to kind of build up your networking skills.
I love that. So keep that on the calendar for February.
Hopefully February. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully February. We'll just have a hopeful parenthesis around that. But something else, I haven't even talked about this on air yet, but something else in February, this is more directed at you, an action coach, and Coach Carter's invited even though he didn't show up today. I hope he laughs a little bit at me making some jest at him. But coming up in February is the 1-year anniversary of the UIA Trusted Partners podcast.
What? Yes. Congratulations.
1 year already coming up on it. So
it took you a whole year to get me on the podcast.
Hey, just shy of a year. Just shy of a year. We're coming in clutch there. So just shy of the year. But yes, so we're going to be doing a giant networking event for all of the guests who have been on the show.
That is fantastic. I look forward to that.
You better have that calendar open, because I'm going to be sending out those invites here towards the end of the year. But I wanted to just make a little mention, because I feel like, the little peek behind the curtains here, kind of nice for the listeners at home too, that I'll be filming that event. That'll be something that we post later once it's all done. Our editor's actually coming in from Chicago. He's going to be filming and doing all that kind of stuff in the background.
Gosh, so it'll be a big deal.
I feel like it's a big deal now.
It is a big deal.
Speaking of big deal, Action Coach is a big deal to a lot of businesses. Local, small, big, does not matter. Coaching where it is needed is always very beneficial where and how it can be applied. Now, something you kind of alluded to this already, the most difficult challenges of kind of running into this business and coaching in general is kind of meeting you halfway, right?
Yeah.
Now, what is something that you think is the biggest challenge? Maybe it's not necessarily a personality trait or a person per se, but maybe just that characteristic of a business owner that you've come across that you're like, I know I'm in for it. I know I'm in for it this time. Or is there anything like that out there?
Oh, certainly. There is certainly that out there. There's definitely the individual that even just goes into the initial meeting with us thinking in their head, I'm not coachable.
Oh.
And so there's that piece of it. There is if my husband listens to this, I love you, honey, but I am definitely married to one of those people who is a DIYer to the core. They don't even delegate. The one-man show who does everything, can't trust anybody to do anything else. That's also probably a struggle for us, just because we do, essentially in coaching, if you want to build a business to be a commercial profitable enterprise that functions without you, it has to function without you.
Yep. You have to be able to let it function without you as well.
Yeah. And so I would say running into those personalities of the individual that immediately puts up the wall, I'm not coachable, or the individual that really just doesn't want to let go of any piece of their business. Those are probably the two biggest struggles out there.
No, I can definitely see that. And something I didn't really have on the sheet, but that kind of had made me think of it. Is there any specific businesses that you as Action Coach will work best for? Or are there some industries that, you don't work the best for them because it's just not the field that you are skilled in? Or is that not really, and you can kind of touch all industries?
So yes and no, I guess, is the answer to that.
I know that's kind of a broad question, but it made me think of it as we were talking. I was like, I don't think I actually had really stanced anything of if there's certain industry categories that really can and should be benefiting, or if it's pretty open to all.
In terms of coaching and Action Coach, it is open to any business.
Okay,
right?
Perfect.
Any business can benefit from it. However, we have multiple coaches on our team.
Right.
And so like if he was here, Coach Carter would tell you that his best client is female entrepreneurs and high-end services.
Interesting. Okay.
For whatever reason, he just jives really well with them and knows exactly what they need to do to get there and can grow them. What I am finding for myself is that I tend to gravitate towards the new entrepreneur, the soulpreneur, the mom and pop shop. Maybe they're not $1 million businesses yet, but they want to be $1 million businesses. Yeah. And so, and then Coach Linda on the team, she executive clients. She is coaching those much larger businesses that have so many layers to them, and coaching looks different at each layer. And so that's really her niche. So like I said.
So yes and no.
Yes
so
and
everybody's
no.
got their talents, but it kind of feels like you guys have the freedom to kind of specify and hone in where you want to and kind of really sharpen your skills on those industries. Yep. I love that because it's very relatable to my industry as well. On the commercial side of things, I tend to specify and lean towards rental properties. I grew up doing carpentry and construction with my dad, so I know what to look for in those properties.
Yeah.
So it just kind of translated well with me. So I understand completely what you mean by, yes, it's possible. Yes, we can always help you. But some of those industries, you're just going to have a little more specificity with certain coaches.
Yep. Absolutely.
I love that. Now, what is something that you feel is maybe just a major pride point for yourself, or maybe something in your career thus far with Action Coach?
Oh, gosh. For me specifically, a pride point would be just getting to this point, right? Getting to the point where I feel very confident in my skills as a coach, being able to, by the end of January, I should have my DISC certification so I can take people through the DISC assessment, which is a personality assessment, if you're not familiar with that, used in communication styles, but then also my coaching certification through Action Coach. I currently hold a life coaching certification and a bunch of certifications and degrees on the health and wellness side, but kind of expanding that into the business side. So I guess that's kind of the pride point for me is getting to this point where I can say, I own a business, I own my own coaching thing, and then adding certifications to my name. I know if Coach Carter was here, he would tell you the pride point for him is being able to take multiple businesses from startup to over $1 million. One specific story he uses quite frequently is a nurse, like many nurses through COVID, just kind of that field got real scary and they're kind of unsure of things. And she had decided to go out on her own, start her own med spa, weight loss company. And he had the opportunity to coach her. Her dream was really to be able to take her children on vacations and to support her parents and, do the things that she wanted for her family, right? It wasn't about helping people lose weight. It was just, that was the vehicle she knew how to do.
Sure.
But really she wanted to be able to do, and the goal, I think they had set a goal for like 5 years or something like that. A year or two into it, she had checked all those boxes, was taking her kids on vacations. She was supporting her aging parents. She was fully supporting her parents. And so I think for him, that pride point, and for many of us in the coaching side, is taking somebody from that, I can see the destination. I know this is where I want to go. I'm just so lost in how to get there and being able to.
Yeah, they're so focused on the end point. They can't see that the road's not in front of them, that they got to go around. Yeah.
And help them find the path and get there. So, and to see somebody be able to do that is, it's amazing. It's changing lives. It's changing communities, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I love it. And I think, again, just to reiterate, coaching is, you got to be recipient of it. You have to go in there wanting to improve. You can't walk in there abrasive and going, okay, coach me. And flop yourself back and just, be so standoffish and be a jerk about it. But, like you had alluded to, there's going to be some pain points in that growing process of, hey, maybe this was a recipe passed down by grandma that we love to have in the restaurant, but it doesn't mean the customers love it. Sometimes that's a hard thing for people to understand. So it is one of those, just to remember, when you do and think about having some coaching to help grow yourself and your business, keep that in mind, to be open to the coaching and to the constructive criticism.
Yep. Yes.
A lot of people think constructive criticism is just attacking. I had a conversation, again, friend of the show, On the Fly Restaurant Consulting. We were talking about that a bit in our episode together, was just different things that you think people really wouldn't get hung up on, but when you really point it at somebody, they get defensive about it. And it's not intended to be that way.
Well, you've got to remember, for these business owners, their business is their baby, right? This is their, like, if somebody came to you and was like, hey, you got a really nice looking kid there, but blah, 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 right?
But it looks like you tripped and fell down.
Immediately as a parent, you're like, my child is perfect. What are you talking about, right? And so my business is perfect. It's everything that it's meant to be.
Right.
When it really, maybe there's just some minor things. Maybe that recipe that grandma passed down that you really want could work if you just made a couple of adjustments, right? And so it's having somebody help you look outside the box. One of those, what's that quote? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Well, what's the problem with eating an elephant is it's massive. So when it's right in front of you, it just looks like a brick wall. You don't even know it's an elephant. And that's where that coach can help you see that it's an elephant. And where's the first bite?
Yeah,
right?
I love that. Yeah, and that's a really nice analogy to kind of break that down for people. Now, for listeners at home, this is kind of my final question here that I had prepared on the day, but I do like to ask this one as well. What's something that you wish you wanted listeners to know more about, or maybe wish they knew a little more about when it either comes to Action Coach, or maybe just about the business coaching industry in general?
So for me, it's the coaching industry in general, right? I think you need to understand that coaching is a necessary investment to help with growth, first and foremost. But then you also need to understand that there is a difference between a teacher, a facilitator, and a coach. A teacher and a facilitator will generally provide surface level content. Okay. Usually it's a presentation, a motivational speech, whatever it might be, right? Sure. You go listen to this presentation, you go back to work and you plug away at things. A coach is going to take all of those things, the teaching, the facilitating, and then also coming alongside you. We're going to win together and we're going to lose together, right? And so a coach is going to make you do the work. We're going to hold you accountable, but we're also going to be there all the way through. Even if it's looking at resumes, once you start deciding to hire people and you need help, you need somebody to look at the resumes with you, your coach is going to come and sit there and do that with you. So
I love that. And that kind of was one of the follow-ups I was going to have off of this question, was just about the follow-up process after, I've worked with Action Coach and I've hit my goal and everything's gravy right now. How does that work on the follow-up side of your end? Is it kind of just a quarterly checkup just to kind of say, hey, how's things going on their end, just to kind of keep in touch?
It's guided by the business owner.
Interesting. Okay.
Could be quarterly.
Sure.
It could be they kind of go their way until they're ready to sell their business, and then they come back to us and, okay, now what do I do to sell this thing?
Gotcha.
So it just depends on the business owner. Something that came to mind as you were talking, and maybe you heard this from the personal trainer at the gym.
Aaron Frederick.
Yeah, he maybe brought this up that as a personal trainer, as a health and wellness coach, our job is to train ourselves out of a job, right? To coach ourselves out of a job. And so essentially that's what we're trying to do too. We want to coach you until you feel like you've got it down and you can run with it. And then you come back to us as you need a tune-up, as you need your pencil sharpened periodically. Yeah. And right now, I think what we're seeing is those business owners that have gotten to the point where they're ready to maybe sell one business and start another. And then they'll come back to us and say, okay, I'm ready to sell this one and I want to go into this venture now. So
I like that. And I think that keeps things really, really relationship built too, because you got to think, if there's even that gap of a year, so much changes in a year, let alone a couple of months. And they come back and say, hey, you know what? We're looking to sell. Things have been great. We're going to hand this off and I'm going to go on to this next thing. I love that that's kind of just the feel and the kind of the relationship that's established from the get-go. And then that's how things kind of end on the really nice positive note there.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into my personal questions here, and I know you're just dying to get these out of the way, is there anything else you'd love for the listeners to know about Action Coach or yourself?
Oh, gosh. So I guess when it comes to myself and Action Coach or Excel Edge is, I think you've said it several times, we are here to build relationships and to help the community grow. We're here to help your business grow. Don't ever be afraid to sit down with a coach and just kind of, hey, I'm thinking about this. Just because you set up a one-on-one with me or you sit down to chat doesn't mean that you have to buy any coaching.
Nope, you're locked in. No, I'm just kidding. It's the old 90s commercials all over again.
Yeah. I'm going to hand you the car keys and I'm going to keep your car keys until you buy.
Yep.
No, and never be afraid to. There are no dumb questions. Right? Yeah. Teachers have said that for years, but It is absolutely true. There are no dumb questions. Don't spend time floundering by yourself when you could reach out and just ask.
Absolutely, because you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
So that's what a coach is there for. Help you get better, help grow yourself and your business with Action Coach and Breann Lundblad with Action Coach today. Breann, time on now to the personal questions.
Okay.
You ready?
I guess.
You guess. Now, something I like to ask people. Now, I personally am summer child. You've seen me in my Hawaiian shirts. You've seen me. I am summer through and through. However, we're now in the phase where the air hurts my face. Is there anything that you look forward to in this time of year?
Do you ask this question so that you build up a list of things to look forward to?
Yes. Sole intention is to make this less miserable this time of year.
So I'm probably not your best resource because when I read that question, my initial thought was nothing. I absolutely hate winter.
You and I are the same page here.
Move south if I could. However, I will say as a life coach, I think gratitude is one of the most underutilized mental health practices, and the holidays in the fall and winter tend to lend themselves more towards gratitude. So I guess I look forward to that. The air may hurt my face. I may hate absolutely going outside.
Yep.
But it's a nice opportunity. It's a nice moment to kind of look back on what you've been able to achieve throughout the year and to really give thanks for those opportunities, right? We don't pause to do that in the summertime because we're having too much fun outside.
Yeah, there's too much to do in the summer. That's always my joke is that each year I always just absolutely despise getting into the winter because I'm locked and isolated for like 4 months, 5 months. But then when it hits spring and summer, I'm so busy, I can't do anything I want to go to until it's winter.
And then you don't want to do anything.
And then you don't want to do anything. Yeah. It's the cruel irony of living in a beautiful state like Nebraska. Now, one of my questions I do like to ask people, and this is kind of open up to a lot of interpretation of what you consider a good attraction to Omaha or something fun in Omaha. So I always try to pose this as if I'm a listener coming in from out of town, what do you consider your Mount Rushmore of Omaha that I should be coming to check out?
Well, first you should know I have 4 children. So everything we do is family friendly.
That's perfectly fine.
Every year we buy family pass to the zoo, right? I do think you have to go check out the zoo. We also have a family pass to the safari park and the Sac Museum.
Oh, interesting.
The safari park, it's one of the things I really think is cool about it is it's not just driving through about in the middle. You can stop and there's I think a mile, maybe mile and a half hike. And so if you have kids, it's a great opportunity to see some animals, maybe do a little hiking.
Tire the kids out.
Right. And then they fall asleep in the car ride back to Omaha. So, and then the Sac Museum is another really cool one. I have a couple of little boys and they absolutely love going to the Sac Museum in the wintertime. A couple of things that are on our list that we have not gotten to, the Luminarium.
I was just about to ask if you'd gotten to check that out.
I haven't been there yet. So maybe we'll do that over Christmas break. And then my oldest daughter had the opportunity to go to the Jocelyn since it has reopened, and she said it's absolutely amazing and we need to go. So now that's on our list of things to do too. So
I was told that I should be there as well. I have not gone and signed it since it has been redone, but I was told it was immaculate and it's beautiful now. So it's on my list to do as well. I always write these down because I'm like, I've got a list like of 10 pages now of things to go do. So I just need the time now to do them.
Yes.
But no, I do love those. And I'll throw another one down in there. If you happen to be in like the old market area, just walk through the old market. There's a lot of cool stuff down there. There's Brickway Brewery down there. There's, I'm going to really kick Artist Cooperative Gallery. I was about to draw a blank on their name. They're down then that way as well. So definitely some very, very cool stuff to go see in the old market.
And I will say, if you have kids in the summertime, going like halfway or all the way across the pedestrian bridge, then coming back to the park. Oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the park name there. It's a really pretty park. Goodness.
Regardless, the riverfront is a really cool place to take.
It's not the Jean Leahy.
Yes, thank you. Jean Leahy Mall.
Like, oh my goodness.
That's what they've done down there over the last few years has created a really cool place to spend some time outdoors and play and experience. Yeah, a little bit of a different view of Omaha.
Yeah.
So
it's almost scenic. It's very, very nice down there, and a lot of revamp and a lot of cleanup down there to make it really inviting and really, really pretty down there. So definitely on my list as well. Now, one of my questions, I've gotten quite a few different responses about, and I'm very interested to see yours on this one, since being a part of Sarpy Chamber and into Action Coach, you've met and know a lot of businesses and nonprofits throughout the way. So this question might be right up your alley, and you might have a hard time with this one. What is something in Omaha that you would want more listeners or more people to know about or support more?
Oh man. Okay. So you're right. There is a ton of fantastic businesses. I was like, you're going to get flooded on this one. Ton of fantastic businesses. I will say also Omaha is a very giving community. And so we tend to have a lot of nonprofits based here as well. But I'm going to shout out to Heartland Hope Mission. I'm on their advisory committee, and I think the work that they do from a food pantry standpoint, the Adopt a Family program through the holidays, and then what they did through the tornado cleanups and the floods. That is an organization that I would encourage a lot of people to learn a little bit more about.
Well, we'll have to have them on the show.
You should. I will connect you.
I would love that. I would love to have them on the show because the door's always open for nonprofits. I tell that to everybody and anybody I meet because, like you said, they're very abundant here in Omaha because we are so giving. But there's so many out there that need mentions, not the ones that you just see and hear about every day.
Yeah.
So Heartland Hope Mission, I would love to connect with them. And again, listeners, if you are listening to this, go check them out online and wait for the episode.
And then the other nonprofit that if you haven't, Bags of Fun.
Bags of Fun. I've never had them on the show. I did reach out to them, but I believe when I had reached out originally, they were right in the middle of one of their major events. And so I was like, well, I couldn't have picked better timing to reach out on this one.
Right. Yeah. And those two ladies, I will let them tell their story, or you can go to their website and watch the video. But an amazing story. They literally provide bags of fun to children who are going through life-threatening illnesses. And they have just expanded or are working on expanding into providing bags for mental health. Cool. So those younger kids, preteens, teens that are going through mental health emergencies now can get a mental health bag from them as well. But it's just two ladies that are doing the whole thing, and it amazes me. But that's one of the first nonprofits that I kind of really, I think probably back in 2018, maybe 2019, something in there, started kind of really latching onto and helping out with. There was a period of time through my networking where I was known as Bags of Fun because I spent so much time talking about them. But I would encourage you to go check out that one also and see how you can help with them because it's an amazing nonprofit. So.
I love that. And it kind of reminds me, I don't know if you've met her before, Kitty Burton with Heart Heroes.
No.
That is another nonprofit that has been on the show before. I've loved them to death in how Bags of Fun does little Bags of Fun for all of those bad illnesses and things like that. Heart Heroes is about child heart disease.
Yeah.
So they give them capes and they kind of have these little care packages a little similarly to that. So it made me think of those because I was like, that's one of those that it's going to hit me right in the heart. And oh boy.
It absolutely will. You will cry as you watch the video on their website. That is 100%. Bring the tissues.
Well, all right. No camera on that episode. I'm already saying it. I kid, but Breann, I think that draws a conclusion to our day today. Is there anything else out there that you want to throw out for the listeners?
No, thank you for having me on. This was a great opportunity. And for anybody who's considering coming on Dylan's podcast, he does a great job of prepping the questions and making it very easy. So,
well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time today coming onto the show, finally, after months of my own. But listen, yes.
We're both busy. I won't blame you.
We're adults now, you know. Yes, that's the excuse I hear all that. I'm an adult. I have a lot. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Again, we've had the distinct pleasure of hanging out today with Breann Lundblad, Business Solutions Associate with Action Coach and soon to be Coach with Action Coach. So congratulations on that ahead of time. Again, applause button. I need it. But Breann, thanks again for coming on to the show. And listeners at home, thank you for tuning in. As always, you are so appreciated. But keep those ears pinned. We know we have more coming up right here on the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast.